I'm Chris Avina with American Outdoor News. I'm here with the team of HuntPro AI. Jonathan, John, T, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having us.
So let me ask you something. What inspired the creation of such an amazing platform?
Jonathan, you want me to start or you want to start?
Well,
Either,
was this
either
a
on
team
you.
effort?
Yeah, I can go ahead and give you my view of it. But first of all, Chris, we're passionate hunters, passionate bow hunters, passionate quail hunters, have been for 25, 30 years and have farms and ranches in Georgia, Texas, and the advent of the camera was an exciting time for everybody. And the first ones were pretty poor in quality and didn't hold up to weather and heat and humidity and fire. So cameras have made tremendous progress. And during that time, other technologies made a lot of progress, like the advent of Dropbox. So you could take your Excel file where we were paying interns from like Texas A&M Kingsville or Kansas State or Auburn or Georgia, whoever the wildlife departments, we could get kids to work for us and basically categorize our herd and do the typical buck doe, shooter, non-shooter, and then begin building your targeted animals for the year and the characteristics of every animal is typed into every line in Excel, line one, line two, line 60. And then when Dropbox came out, we could hyperlink images to Dropbox. And that was fantastic, right? Um, except for about every 3 years, it seems like ranch managers rotate and everybody has their own little system and they have to start back over. And so the management of the images became a nightmare and very expensive too, because we would have to pay people to manage all this. And with Jonathan's brilliance John, we've been in technology for 20 plus years too. So we've been building enterprise software platforms for fintech, for healthcare technology, for gov tech. And so we had a lot of experience building software. And Jonathan started building an AI team that could say, wait a minute, this was way before anybody was talking about AI, but could we could we manage and categorize all these images? We're running 50, 60 cameras at the ranch. And could we categorize them in a much more efficient way and build an enterprise wildlife management platform to be able to manage all of that information, not just the images, but the characteristics that are tied to that image so that you can have real data analysis year after year after year. And, that was the genesis of HuntPro. And so the whole concept was, could we take thousands and, I don't know, Jonathan, one image does 1,800, 2,000 pictures a week.
Wow.
And, and cameras are dumb, right? Camera doesn't know the difference between a trophy whitetail and a blackbird. It's just snapping. And so somebody's got to go through all that. Well, HuntPro now does that for us. So, like at our Texas ranch, we pull cards because we don't have good cell. If you have cell coverage, it's great because you can do it automatically. I guess we have portions of the ranch that we use cell cameras, but the other portions you have to pull cards and you
Yep.
upload into HuntPro. But rather than somebody sitting there going buck doe, typing all the characteristics in Excel, hyperlinking to Dropbox, it does it automatically. As soon as those cards are uploaded, or as soon as the image hits from a cell camera, it's already categorized in HuntPro.
So
So
all the species are basically cataloged automatically through HuntPro. Now,
yeah,
is there like I guess the technology would be equivalent to, is there like facial recognition where you can identify a specific buck that you're tracking?
Yeah, so we have a couple of things that go on when we run our AI against an image, we pull several pieces of data. One, we detect all the animals, we detect the individual objects, count all the animals down to species, gender. Then we start looking at sub characteristics. If it's a white-tailed deer, we're looking at number of points. Is it mature? Is it a young buck? But we're also we're pulling the weather data. We're pulling, what was the humidity, what was the barometric pressure, what was the moon phase, all that information is being pulled, as well as where were there people on the property at that point in time. Um, we take all that information and then allow you to start filtering. Now we are working on what you're describing, which is a facial identity to be able to track those. We feel like by Q1 of next year we'll have that working. Right now we're focusing on we have a tool we call Buck ID that lets you pull up an animal, and then we go try to find as many animals similar to that animal as possible. So we're pulling 8 points from the same area within the same time, and you can just click through, and it gives you the possible choices, and you can accept those. But we are pretty close to a point now. We're doing this actually in two different areas, and hunting and fishing, to be able to try to identify the unique patterns on the animals and be able to do like a facial, we call it a fingerprint, but a facial ID is kind of what you're doing.
That's amazing. So if I'm tracking a particular buck, it gives me a specific window that would
Yeah.
give me the best time to shoot that buck.
Well, you also have like heat maps where you can see like where is it spending most of the time on the property, or it's got 3 or 4 spaces that are cold, but it goes there, but there's one spot that's really hot. It spends a predominant amount of time.
So what sets um, the HuntPro platform apart from other platforms that are out there?
Yeah. From my opinion, it's you can go out and you can buy a lot of tools that'll do a few individual jobs. Uh,
Hmm.
Hunt Pro really looks at it as, how do I manage the entire property? How do I manage, from guest check-in, signing waivers, reserving stands, um, cataloging, managing all of my pictures, managing my population study, my harvest log, my inventory, on my map, all my inventory on the map. And then, tying that back together with a pretty robust analytics package. There's individual tools that do all little portions of that, but
Hmm.
HuntPro is a platform that's designed to do it from the landowner or from the lease owner's point of view, that kind of allows you to manage that whole property.
Well, the I mean, you've really taken things a step further with the AI. Now, how has the AI in HuntPro uh, improved the efficiency and accuracy of game management on your property?
Yeah, it's probably a time saving element at the most, Chris. The basically, if you think about that, what T just described a little while ago with inventorying your animals, deciding what were trophies, what were management deer, and then what you were going to do as far as to put your hunters out and what they were going to be handed to get to see what they were going to be able to shoot. And you look at all of that, and now there's just one system that allows the people that actually run the property, whether it's from a sailor perspective or from an SD card upload, all that work is done in one tool, and
Uh,
then it's shared with all those people in that mobile. And we've got offline maps, we've got offline um, hit list and do not shoot list type stuff that's delivered out there as well. So you just take all of the time that you used to spend doing those particular things. Now you end up with all of that time back, and you can actually see what's going on. Everybody's got the same thing. There's no printing of a book, 3-ring binder, that kind of stuff that gets messed up, or hey, this deer has been shot. I've got to take that out of there. I've got to redo my book every year. Um, and then you know what's going on the property because you can analyze all the images quickly. So if a feeder's not working, if you've got a cattle problem at a place, if you've got a predator problem in a certain area, and just the flexibility of it from small to medium to large operations, with all of those things.
Yeah, and one other thing I would point out, I mean to interrupt, Chris, but real life example, I leave in the morning for the ranch in Texas taking guests out. and today's Tuesday, right? So we got the cell cameras are coming in real time, but all the SD cards have to be uploaded today. So when my guys tonight, they'll be invited to HuntPro for the week. And so they can log in and immediately be looking at stands they're familiar with from last year. They can look at the wind and look at the heat map to see where the movements are for that wind we're going to be hunting this week. And they can go in and click on the stand and look at pictures right there from that stand that are tagged do not shoot or targeted animals. Historically, we had to have guides in all the blinds with hunters that, don't know this herd. They don't know. And so we can't have mistakes out there. And so now we don't have to do that. They have them on their mobile phone. And and another key thing about this, as I mentioned earlier, our background is building enterprise applications. If you look at what's been built in the hunting industry, most of it came from a camera manufacturer that built it specifically for their camera. We run every camera known to man. One, we just like to test the quality of images. We like to see how their APIs work. So it's camera agnostic. We don't care where the images are coming from. And so and like John said, it's not just the image management, but it's the land management. It's the entire operations. And I've never seen anything like it. And it's built for scale. This is built to scale globally. It's built to run hundreds and hundreds of thousands of users, just because that's been our background.
So it don't matter if it's a cellular camera or something where you got to pull the card and upload it. It's going to automatically format everything the way you have it programmed.
Yeah, that's correct.
Absolutely.
Wow. That's a huge time saver, especially somebody who's in like a property management. Like you said, not just managing the animals on the land, it's managing the land that really helps.
Yeah, and you think about a property, somebody that manages a bunch of leases, or you think about a ranch owner that has multiple ranches. They have one central location now for all of their locations.
Wow, there's so much data involved and so much work involved. I mean, who came up with the idea for this? Was it a group effort, or you said, well, I could do this and your specialty is that. Let's put it together. And how did it come about?
It came about, Jonathan and John and I, we've been bow hunting together for 25 years. And as technology evolved, Jonathan's the one that says, hey, I think we can build something. And so that's how it started.
Basically sitting in deer camp with bourbon in hand around the fire saying, hey, let's make this better.
Well, we would sit with these iPads, right? When the iPads came out, we were ecstatic because we no longer had to sit in front of a computer. We could scroll through. Well, if you got three people scrolling through three different iPads and we're trying to talk about a single deer, and then we got to tag it in Excel and then tag it to Dropbox, it became a nightmare for us, and we know how to use technology.
Well, I mean, you had to come across a ton of challenges trying to put this together. I mean, what were the obstacles that you had to overcome?
Yeah, when we first started, I mean, this thing was really, like you said, it was born out of the hunting camp, and I mean, we spent all last week out hunting and using it in the field to make sure everything's working and coming up with improvements. So, in the software world, we would say we eat our own dog food. So we are the three of us are probably the largest users of this application. We use it every time we hunt, but early on when we were doing this, I mean, we've been doing this 7, 8 years. So, we were early into the AI game. So we were having to invent a lot of AI technology that hadn't been invented and really tweak it to work with animals and the diversity. You think about the diversity of what a camera setup looks like on the West Coast in the middle of the US versus the, Southeast and Northeast, very vastly different camera setups. And you've got to have that abundance of data to be able to get that. The other problem so we were able to get that through a lot of our early users. We were able to just get vast amount, millions and millions and millions of pictures that we've contributed to our training. So that's really helped the AI learn the difference between all these different zones and regions, and then even the complexity of different animal types. We not only target hunting, but we also have a very large following in the wildlife research space. Some of our very early customers were these Department of Natural Resources at the state level that are doing study. So we were chasing things like spotted skunks and chasing bears in Mississippi and wood rats. And so participating in these wildlife research studies has really helped us stretch the AI and expand how complex its thinking is. I think the other thing was, if you look in the market, there's no communication between any of these camera manufacturers.
Yeah.
If you have a camera, if you've got one camera, you got three camera brands, you got three mobile apps. And, that was a real problem over the last few years. And, just in the last year, we've really solved that problem where we've now integrated, not just from the SD card standpoint, because that was really easy, but even from the ones that are kind of in a closed ecosystem that don't send data out, we've been able to work with those guys to get that data out, where we have all major camera manufacturers now sending data into HuntPro, and we can integrate them just as easily as we could a cell camera. So being able to overcome that kind of what we would call communication or interoperability issue has really been a big win for us. Now I can tell John, I don't care what camera you run, let the customers put it in the field, we'll hook it up, we'll support it. And that's been a really nice solve for us.
Well, let me give you this scenario. Say you have a hunting camp. You have 10 people in the camp. You have 15 stands. Say you have 40 cameras. So all of these cameras can hook into your system with all the hunters being able to have access to it. So they can basically track a deer's pattern. He crosses your stand at 10 a.m. He crosses this stand at 12 p.m. So you could track animal activity across your property.
That's correct.
Yes, and then you also not that's a slam dunk from the camera perspective and the heat mapping and the activity for us. But in that situation, you can also we have a reservation system so that hunters can pick the places that they're going to hunt, or their names show up on the map. But we even had some people request to have that be anonymous because they didn't want certain people knowing where they were hunting particularly. But it really just echoes what we were saying earlier about it manages the whole property and the activity that goes on the property. You can't put everybody in the same place to deer hunt, to turkey hunt, to elk hunt, whatever. You've got to get those people spread out. They need to know where they're going. They need to know what they could possibly see. So you gain all of that efficiency. And it doesn't matter if you have a very small family lease or just a family property that's, 47 acres in the middle of some great place in the middle of Illinois that's surrounded by ag, or all the way down to a huge Texas commercial ranch, and anything in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the fun things with HuntPro is having our guests and people that come out and visit interact with the platform, because it blows them away. One of the most fun things to do at night after dinner is everybody pulls up the heat map and you begin talking about who's going to reserve which stand, if that's your type of, that's the kind of operation we have, is more of a family friends. And so we sit around the dinner table looking at the heat map, which is taking data from weather and humidity and the patterns. And so you were kind of seeing where the greatest spots and the time scale. You can slide the time scale to, 7 a.m. Friday morning, and we know kind of generally what's going to be happening. And then, we also we'll be quail hunting the same time, so we can block out a section of the maps. And this is where we're quail hunting today, so nobody can hunt those stands.
That's amazing. We do that now with the cell cameras. When we come out of the stand, we'll look at, we'll get pictures to our phone. We'll look. I just left that stand 10 minutes ago and the deer's there.
Yeah.
So now we could get a better idea that we should stay in that extra half hour.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So what am I missing here?
I'd say one thing that you talked about tracking the deer, but one of the safety features of the application is we're also you define your property boundaries, and within those boundaries, we're tracking your hunters that are on the property and displaying them on the map, so that I know that there's somebody hunting 200 yards over the ridge I can see their name checked into a stand, but I can also see that they've wandered off from that stand and they're now lost, somewhere. So as a property manager, I can look and see, if somebody's out of stand tracking an animal, I can help them if they're lost. They have a quick access to be able to go in and say, look, I need help, harvesting an animal, or I need help, I've got vehicle issues or health issues. So there's a lot of safety features that are built in as well to just make sure that, everybody's enjoying the hunt and also everybody's safe.
So as an outfitter, you bring somebody to their stand, stay in the stand, don't move. We know the animals are coming here. Just stay in your stand, sit still, do what you're supposed to do. As an outfitter, you have people, I'm not seeing nothing, there's no deer here, blah, blah, you know the story. Now you can actually look and see, well, you got out of your stand. What are you doing over here? Why aren't you sitting still? Now you can put the blame on the actual hunter when it's usually their fault anyway.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, and I
That's
think the only thing we really kind of not talked about is really your population survey. You know, people fly helicopters, people do spotlight surveys, and then of course you use a trail camera to do your surveys. Um, that's really the only thing we haven't talked through, but we had a biologist that approached us about doing that. They had a vision that that could be possible, and then we just kind of tied that in. So you go from just ignoring the noise and getting cellular camera information into the system to building it for research scientists that are looking for an endangered species in 3 counties in Georgia. Then you move it into, DNR looking to model their deer herd and what they need to do. A group that's looking for black bears in Mississippi through 7 million images that they brought in, and then onto a property where a biologist would traditionally go in and have to look through all those pictures just like we would and build that model. So now they have the ability to do that within HuntPro as well. And then you've got that scales all the way through more of the map utilities, the user management, insurance and liability waivers, messaging, zone closing, and that kind of stuff that just really makes this into the most robust wildlife management, property management platform that's available today.
wow. How long have you actually been working on HuntPro to get it to where it is today?
I think officially 2017, but probably 2 years before that, we were working on early AI stuff, just from a pure AI standpoint on trail cameras and images. So we're approaching almost 10 years.
Wow. And I know the more we know about AI, the faster it accelerates.
Absolutely, the game is changing quickly, and we're embracing some of the latest and greatest. We're leveraging some of these new large language models where people can just talk into the phone now. So now we've got it to where if I want to really drill down into it and find, I can just click a button and say, show me all animals or show me all bucks in the last 14 days at night when the wind is out of the southeast. And it's going to pull me back just by speaking to it. It's going to pull back all bucks when the wind's out of the southeast in the last 14 days at night. So we're embracing a lot of that, the latest and greatest from voice-driven interfaces and large language models, and just that's what we do. I mean, we're our expertise is AI, so that's at heart, I'm just a big IT nerd that loves hunting, and this is really the intersection of our passions. Our passions are hunting and technology, so that's what makes HuntPro exciting for us.
Wow. So through technology, and I know this wasn't an initial goal, but you can do this with this program. Watching somebody in the field, you can actually correct the mistakes that a hunter is actually making through your program and make them a better hunter in the process.
Yeah, I would say I don't know if we touched on enough though, is the harvest data and analytics. Really being able to see graphically real time bucks by point class, average bucks, age class, your buck doe per age, all this graphs real time as data hits this. And we can also go back year to year to year, which is also unique, and be
Wow.
able to analyze even specific hunters that we know are coming back that some reason aren't having the same success rate as others. We can go in and look at data to educate and help say, look, you got there too late, you're leaving too early. You're hunting the wrong wind pattern. There's just whatever the date is, we have it real time to go in and look at it. And then we can do the deer types by hunter. So we know year to year what type of deer each hunter's actually harvesting.
That's really incredible. This is the most amazing program that I've seen out there. Endless
Yeah.
possibilities. What can we expect next with this?
I think, we spent the last decade building this for ourselves and building it for an enterprise launch we really believe it's the first wildlife management platform built. We've clearly looked at everything that we can find, and we haven't seen anything quite like this. And I think having being passionate hunters, farms and ranches, small properties, large properties. We've been doing this ourselves for so long, and it is one of our top passions. But we've been building very large software platforms for years and years. And I think having that unique experience where you have a passion and knowledge of the hunting, but then you also have a passion and knowledge to build enterprise class software, that we haven't seen in this industry yet.
So how does somebody sign up for HuntPro, and what are the costs involved, or do they download it to their cell phone or their computer? How does somebody get involved with HuntPro?
Yeah, right
Well,
off the
go ahead, John.
yeah, right off the webpage at huntpro.app. There's all the information you need to know there, and we start at $29.99 a month and go up from there. It's based on image count and whether or not you take advantage of all of those other optional features. Obviously, a small property doesn't need all the stuff that we've talked through, and a large property is going to take full advantage of those. And then if you're a research institute and you've got a really large volume project, just let us talk with you and we'll figure out how to get that done and get you a quote for that one.
Wow. So there's so many possibilities here. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
We think there's tremendous growth because there's gov tech, health tech, fintech, manufacturing tech. There really hasn't been a wildlife management tech as an industry, and
Yep.
we think HuntPro is going to be the front runner in that industry. And I would also say that if you're camera manufacturers and you're spending hundreds, if not $1 million a year trying to build software to manage your images, you don't need to. You can private label HuntPro. And so, those conversations are beginning to happen as well. And then we fully intend to have it as a global platform. So
That's amazing. I mean, just as for a wildlife biologist, it saves them hours and hours of work. Amazing. All right. Well, where can we find you guys, and how do just go to huntpro.app?
Huntpro.app, and it's got everything you need to get registered and get your account set up. All your administrative functions are going to be through the website to start with. And then all of your users, we don't care how many users you have, you get unlimited mobile users with your platform that's out there. And the links to download those from the Google or Apple Store are out there as well.
that's another good point, Chris, that I don't know if we hit on, but the mobile real life example, I have a group going with me tomorrow to Texas. They've been invited to HuntPro, so they have access to HuntPro for the period they're there at the ranch. When they leave, they don't have access anymore because you don't
Wow.
want people looking at all your image, and it does it automatically. It's not something that somebody has to go, the administrative of this is built like an enterprise software platform would be. So I've got 6 guys that are so excited to get these images and start looking at these stands tonight. And then when they get back from the ranch on Sunday night, they won't have access anymore till next year. The next group's going to have access.
Wow. Wow. I'm speechless. There's so many possibilities. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time, and I think everybody should sign on to your program. Anybody that has property or hunts property, that no reason why anybody shouldn't sign on to your program.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Chris.
All right. I appreciate you guys taking the time, and go to huntpro.app. Thanks again.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.